6 a.m., day after the holidays. Welcome to the Podioslave podcast. This is NPR Nate.
I love it.
And I'm here, as always, drink with Anthony and Tony. How you guys doing the day after the holidays at 6 a.m. with Ben Folds?
That was pretty good. And I'm going to give you a holiday present here, a little Christmas present here. It's the best day of the week.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Wow. That, Nate, was not expected, amazing, and the highlight of my holiday season thus far.
I just hope that I'm in the same timber as Ben Folds with 6 a.m.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Maybe he'll hear this.
He didn't answer his DM, but yeah.
Well, you can
Last
try
Christmas, I gave you my heart, Nate. But the very next day, you put out a pod.
Yep.
All right, we're done.
I get some bad news for you, Twan. If Rob were here, we'd have some bad news for Rob, too.
That's right.
Rest in peace, George Michael. Yeah, we're excited. This is the downtime week in between, Christmas and New Year's for a lot of people probably taking the week off. There aren't a lot of podcasts coming at you this week. We are still here because we are always still here, to the point of almost 3 full years. Every week you get an episode from us. So you can set your clocks to it, right? You're going to get an episode from the Podioslave guys once a week, no matter what, come hell or high water, until we can't do it anymore.
I know, and the streak hasn't run out yet, so we're just going to keep carrying it. Part of me is like, we're the dedicated workers that, are working on the holiday. And then the other part of me is like, we're the fucking suckers that still putting out content.
Well, you got to think, we launched during a pandemic, the beginning of it. So we already started in like really shitty circumstances. So now things are getting better, and why stop? So
yeah, I mean, 146 of them, and then some extra stuff out there for you too. Yeah, and cool stuff on the YouTube page. I mean, shit, there's some extras there that have never been released as a podcast. So go check some of that out too.
It is something to think about, though. Is like, oh, we keep putting them out. Does that mean we're awesome at this, or do we just not have like any kind of like social life?
Well, you have a social life, but Anthony and I don't.
No, we don't. In the basement all day and night.
Yeah,
it is what it is at this point.
All right, Twan, what are we doing tonight?
We're gonna hit you. I think we've done this every year, right? 2020, 2021, 2022. We're giving our best up. We're gonna throw our top 5 individual records of the year. Now, I didn't pick any EPs, but EPs, if they're good enough, they could make this list, right?
Sure, yeah. I have an EP as an honorable mention because it's not a full length, but I listen to it a ton.
Yeah, and then we'll throw some honorable mentions out there too. But this is fun. Like, this is, for me, a time to reflect on what came out. Because a lot of times I forget. If something came out in like February, like to me, that's like 2 years ago. So it's a chance to kind of appreciate what we listened to this year and what came out. And the hard part is ranking these fucking things. Like, I switched my list quite a bit. I've locked it in. I'm not going to pull an audible, but I got it pretty locked in. But it was tough.
Yeah, there's a ton of variables. Where am I today? Does it still stand up to when I first heard it? Is it still stand the test of time? If it came out, a few weeks ago, is it going to even make the list? Is it worthy? There's a lot of life changes that happened this year where I'm like, oh wow, my listening habits have altered greatly.
Same. And you're right, Twan. If it came out in February, it came out 5 years ago, which is weird, but also not true. And then I have one that I've revisited this week in prep for tonight, thinking that it might make my top 5. And upon further review, it's just right on the edge. And it might even be a game time decision. So who knows? It's been fun to do, though. And I want to give you guys one quick little tidbit before we start. The first year we did this, how long do you think that episode was? Time-wise.
Knowing us back then, hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say hour and 30.
1 hour and 41 minutes.
I mean, what the hell were we even talking about? Like, what?
We had categories. We had all kinds of shit.
Let's continue talking on this.
And guess what we did last year? We smartened up. Any idea how long that one was?
58 minutes.
45.
54 minutes. So tonight you're going to get 27 minutes. We're halfway done. We're just going to cut it in half again. We're just going to give you our top 5 and say, peace, potheads. See you in 2023. Nah, I'm just kidding. We've got some commentary for you. But yeah, we shortened it. We're going to do the top 5 and a couple honorable mentions. And yeah, who wants to start us off with an honorable mention?
I'll get mine real quick. I'll just go right down the list. These are ones that some of them may have cracked the top 5 if they were released earlier in the year. You know, I just didn't spend enough time with them. But here it goes. Nas's King's Disease 3, probably my favorite hip hop album of the year. The band Dead Body, The Requiem, their closed casket band. I love that record. It just came out like last month. Hot Water Music's Feel the Void. I loved that record. It was kind of polished for them, you know, in their catalog, but it was really good. Be Well's Hello Sun EP on Rev. Fucking love that. That EP. I saw them this summer on the Sticks and Stones Fest. It was great. And then Fleshwater's We're Not Here to Be Loved, which is on closed casket as well. If you like Hum and Deftones, it's in that world, kind of that, you know, I don't know, people call it like post-grunge resurgence, but so good. If you haven't heard those records, go check them out. I fucking love them. Some of those, if you ask me in a week, may have cracked the top 5.
Wow. That Fleshwater record, a lot of people are also calling it nu metal. So just throwing that out there.
I know, yeah. It's that whole Narrowhead, Soul Blind, like that whole thing that's going on right now. It's really fucking good. And I'm pretty sure it has a female vocalist, which is a breath of fresh air, at least for part of it. And it's members of Vane FM.
Nice. Nate, you want to give yours? Or you want me to give mine?
You know, I didn't have a whole lot of honorable mentions that were close, but it's this new Slipknot. I know we did an episode with Ryan Sin on the new Slipknot. It didn't make the top 5, but I've definitely dug it more the more I listen to it. So that's right on the cusp. A lot of the not name brand, but bands that Legacy that I've always liked, like the new Modest Mouse that dropped this year, I thought was good, didn't quite hit the 5. And that's kind of transferable with a lot of records that dropped this year. I feel like a lot of bands put out stuff that they were probably working on pre-pandemic. Maybe that's why they didn't hit the top 5. I'm not sure if that was recycled material or not. But yeah, other than that, you know, just some kind of like one-offs, mainly based on like a handful of songs from records that I maybe checked out from listening to on Sirius XM and checked out the record. But again, very passive, you know, while driving and stuff. So unless you're giving it full attention, like you said, Twan, it's hard to give it full recognition. And a top 5 slot, you know, it's like MySpace, your close friends. What is that? 5. What is that thing
top
called?
8. Top 8.
Baby. Yeah, you
Top
left
8.
me off that back in the day. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't even know if you have had one. I had one.
I did not, but I had a friend that pretended that his was mine and had like a bunch of pictures that could have gotten me into some shit. And I was like, bro, you need to take that down.
Right
and he
now.
was like, no. And then he finally did. But yeah,
It might still be out there.
it probably is. Joints the size of quarters. I was like, come on, man. That's not my profile. You got my picture up there. Like, stop. Take this down.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Thanks, Zach.
Oh, that checks out. Hey, Zach.
All right. I agree with you, Nate. I had the Slipknot album as an honorable mention. I think I'll end up liking that more down the road as I've spent more time with it. The album I listened to the most this year, because of when it came out, it was gonna be top 5. I ended up having it as an honorable mention, is Frank Turner's FTHC. Probably one of my favorite shows of the summer or the year too, but great record. Just there's other stuff I liked a little better. I had a lot of things that were really close in that 2 to 5, 2 to 6, 2 to 7 range. All of them are kind of interchangeable. The Weeknd, Dawn FM. I really liked that when it came out. I think it's a little long. I like the idea of having Jim Carrey throughout. I like the concept of it being like a radio station, but it didn't quite crack my top 5. And then I have to shout out the boys from Trawl. They're From the Murky Depths EP that came out back in August. Or maybe, yeah, it was August. And then they had me come and be the MC at their EP release party. We're on a song. Anthony and I are on a song on it. So yeah, those guys, love those guys always, and really, I've listened to that EP a ton. It's been in my car since I bought it back in, early August, whatever. So shouts to those guys, and I know they're probably listening as well. So thanks, guys, for having us be part of something, bucket list that, you can't ever take away from us. We're super happy about that.
I thought you were going to say we're superheroes. I'm like, we are superheroes. We're on that fucking track.
Yeah, right?
Go stream that. Support the scan.
Hell yeah.
All right, so a lot of good albums came out. I think before we get into the top 5, I just want to throw something out there. My list, I realized when putting it together that it was more than just the music with these albums. It was, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was a combination of maybe seeing the band tour on the album, maybe having members on the podcast, the feeling that the songs made me feel and made me think, and the headspace maybe I was in listening to it, and just the way I connected with it. Like that was, you can't fabricate that. And so when bands take their time and meet with us, talk with us, and when albums connect with me like that, I can't help but put them in a special place in my Mount Rushmore of records this year, we'll call it,
I couldn't agree more. In fact, that's why right out of the gate, I was like, there's a lot of records that are music styles that I've kind of saw myself listening to this year that previously weren't the case. And it's just, family changes, like a new addition with the family, with the baby, and like things that, I gravitated towards this for obvious reasons. And a lot of like connotation that you just mentioned actually are pretty much in all my notes for that reason.
Like I said, when we were doing our honorable mention, I had a lot of records that were interchangeable from probably 2 to 7 or 2 to 8. But at the same time, the ones that I ended up picking in my top 5 were for the same reasons that you guys are saying. Maybe we have a little bit deeper of a connection because we saw them tour on it or talked with them and got the vinyl record in my hand and put it on the platter and listened to it and got to feel it and got to see it and know some of the story behind the songs because of that. Yeah, that's probably how they ended up in my top 5. So with that being said, Twan, do you want to lead us off?
I'm going to lead us off. And it's a band that we've talked about in pockets. It's a band that Tone introduced me to. I'd heard the name, but never listened. So I give you definitely the assist there. I don't know if I would have checked them out. It's a band that is now like pretty much my wife's favorite current active band. Tone knows it.
Oh, I know it, yeah.
Coming Home, Dangerous Summer. Great fucking album. And spoiler alert, it's not the only Rude Records release that's on my list. I can't say enough about this album. 37 minutes, 11 songs. When I put this on, it's getting fully listened to. So they've hacked the streams, making sure people stick around. Like a YouTube video that's all, jazzed up and dazzled up. Like you're listening, you're watching the whole time, but there's no skips on this thing. Standout tracks, Gold Star, Big Green Eyes, Wide Open, Goodbye, which is the last song. They just can write a catchy song. Like they know how to do it. And I think actually we did talk about this album a few, maybe not a few episodes ago, but a bunch of episodes ago. And I think one of the comments I made, which I'll make again, is AJ's delivery. No one else could sing these songs better. There's this just like passion, directness, honesty, and like grit in some areas that I think it just perfectly executed. And I love it. I love this record.
I also have this in my top 5. I have it a little higher, but we're going to try to be 27 minutes. So I'm just going to talk about it now. When we get to 3, we'll skip it. So I also love the closer, Twan, and the fact that you mentioned that, it hit me perfectly because at the same time, we've talked about all these different songs. We've done a whole episode on closers. We had bands on because we did that episode. Like, it's really fucking cool when a song like that hits you, and not enough people make it to the end of albums. And this one, I don't know how you wouldn't. It's so damn good. I remember it coming out, I want to say, did it come out the Friday before Tattoo the Earth? I think it did.
It came out in August. It did. Yeah.
I think I listened to it on the way to Tattoo the Earth like 3 times down to Worcester, just because I was like, damn, perfect. I got a soundtrack for my ride down. I cannot wait for this.
Is that the one with the surfer on the front? Right?
No,
that's Mother Nature from 2019, I think.
Oh, okay.
This is the one with the balloons.
Yep.
Okay.
So, Tone, the closer, that's the one that's like, Sean got sick the year we took a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, who thinks to even start a song like that? It hits you.
Yeah.
It hits you from the jump.
And you're right about AJ's grit. Like, it does show up in spots. It also doesn't show up in spots, and you're like, wow, this sounds really good too, doing it this way. I love that they are kind of interchangeable. It's mostly AJ Perdomo and Matt Kennedy, right? Just there's other, I think, people that help, but those two are like the creative forces behind it. So go check this out if you haven't.
So, Nate, we recommended this for what, 3 months now? Did you listen?
I did, and I had it in my concert calendar, and fucking wish I went to that show, actually.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you should have.
Actually, you know what? This is an honorable mention because I was thinking about putting this down.
I love that you just threw it into your honorable mentions. Fuck yeah, dude.
Well, because I was reviewing like what have we talked about on the pod for bands, and I know this was a big one for 2022, and the fact they were rolling through here, I was actually, so anytime things are in the calendar, like you alluded to earlier, Twan, like it's actually incentive to listen to the records, and especially the new ones because they're promoting it. So that show came to House of Blues in San Diego. I was like, I'll check out that show. Nah, didn't make it. It was on a Tuesday, tough hang. But I was definitely like preparing myself to check out this gig. And beauty of the pod, right? Like you brought this band to the surface. I had no idea who they were prior, and I get lost in a lot of like repeat listening to like legacy stuff. So it's always fresh to check out new stuff, both in show but also new records.
I remember when we talked about, I think we did categories for that first ever best of in 2020, and it was like new band to you, and this was the band that I brought to the table. So the fact that we're still talking about them 2 years later means they've clearly resonated with all three of us.
Yeah, man. It's a great record, and it's one of those that I had a connection to, just I think with how much I played it. I have memories of like, and Tone, I think I'm the same way, coming back to and from Tattoo the Earth. I remember we did a couple night vacation here with my wife, and I remember listening to that to and from. Like there's memories that I associate with this album that you can't escape. Like it's just, and I love that. I love that when records have that some sort of connotation that you just fucking connect with. I love it.
Hell yeah. All right, Nate, give us your 5, because I've already given one now.
Yeah, skipped ahead. There's no rules though, right? Like you said, we make the rules. This one is you guys are gonna be like, wait, what? Again, speaking to just changes this year, new family members and so forth, and kind of how that changes your habits, I guess, in terms of music listening. So used to be a big metalhead, still am. Am I blasting that in front of the baby? Not necessarily. Also been, integrating like different health routines. And so between those two things, you start to think you have to have music that's conducive to that environment. So this kind of resurfaced for me. This was a band or artist that was introduced to me by my brother, like 20 years ago, called Roixop. It's an instrumental band, super intricate, just really out there music. But I've been listening to it a lot, especially this year. They dropped 3 records in the kind of a series. So this one I put in the top 5 because I actually went through Spotify. I'm like, I guess I checked out this record quite a bit. It's called Profound Mysteries 2. So it's a lot of background stuff between music, baby, and gym routines. Like this is getting a lot of spin. And we don't talk about it enough, although we did have a guest on where we talked about some instrumental music. And this kind of resurfaced because of that too, is like the amount of instrumental music that I listen to but don't even bring up on the pod because it's really almost like soundtrack to routine. But I start to realize like, oh, there is obviously an appreciation there. So it made the top 5 for 2 reasons: the throwback element, but also the fact that it's an artist I wanted to kind of talk about here on the pod. So
I love that you brought that to us for 2 reasons. A, the soundtrack to your routine, which we don't really think about until you're forced to do an exercise like this, where you're like, oh man, I did listen to that a lot. And that's probably why. I love that. And you haven't brought them up to us, and now I have something brand new to check out, so I'm excited about that too.
I only know the band by name, and I couldn't have told you the genre until you just spoke about them. Although,
same.
Quick Wikipedia search, they're Queens of the Stone Age fans, because in 2006 they reinterpreted "Go with the Flow" for one of their albums, for a live album.
Shit!
Ooh,
and I'm already a fan. You got me, Nate.
There's a connection here, but yeah. So what do you like? What hit you about this? Was it just, I don't know, like what was it? Just you associated with it, like a calming nature of maybe walking the baby, or?
I think it's a hybrid of, there's a throwback element with my brother bringing this band to me, over 20 years ago, with like songs that they kind of like broke out with, which if you check them out on Spotify or whatever, there's like some tracks kind of like Daft Punk where you're like, oh, I actually know this song, even though I wasn't, in this scene or whatever. There's some songs that kind of seeped through and got some spins or attention in different elements, whether it was a TV show and it was in the background or whatever. So it's a hybrid of like nostalgia, but also, the calming element and I guess a trust factor. Like I got into them way back then. I wonder if they're still good. And then playing records today that they're dropping today as brand new art and realize like, oh, okay, this art format, this genre per se is basically timeless because there's no lyrical, overlay to kind of make it specific to some era or even, memory because it's just noise. It's just instrumental music. So to answer your question again, long form.
Well, don't underestimate nostalgia, man. Nostalgia, like there's artists that I listened to a lot this year because I just got the Spotify Wrapped, and a lot of them I was listening to 20 years ago. It's real.
Totally. I had a similar situation. I'm looking at my Apple Music replay, which is not nearly as cool as the Spotify Wrapped. I don't understand why they don't do something cool like that, but I'm now a Spotify user, so it is what it is.
You mainstream sellout.
I am, yeah, MGK, baby. And with that, my number 5 record. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine if we did that 2 years ago. Yep, that did happen. All right, my number 5. I did not listen to the first Red Hot Chili Peppers record that came out this year enough. I did listen to Return to the Dream Canteen a bunch, and I don't know why this one hit me, but it did. I think a lot of it is the play between Flea and Frusciante. It's almost like they just said, "This is a Flea and Frusciante record. Have fun, guys. Like you guys play off each other. You do some funky stuff, Flea, and then John, you kind of come in and provide the melody for it." And I love the songs that, like, Tip of My Tongue is stuck in my head still. It has been for a month. Eddie is so good. The end of Eddie is so fucking good.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, it's funky, it's weird, it brings every kind of element of the Red Hot Chili Peppers to the forefront. All of the eras are in this record, and that's kind of why I like it. It's got some really funky, weird stuff at the end. Some like spoken word from Kiedis, which makes no fucking sense, but does it ever? Like, it's kind of why you love it, right? I mean, that's what makes this all work. So, yeah, that was my number 5, and I was surprised it made my top 5. I didn't think that a Chili Peppers record was going to. I just didn't listen to Unlimited Love enough. I'll probably go back to it now that I've ended up vibing with this one.
Was this double LP?
It's 17 songs, so it could be considered that. I mean, they've put out records that are 17 songs or 18 songs in the past that are not considered that. So I don't know.
I think it's a double vinyl, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that, so songs are probably warrant that. I haven't listened to this, so I can't really comment. I got the vibe that Unlimited Love maybe was a letdown. So to have them come back with this, I think, again, you're only known for like your last step bad. I think people have such short attention spans that I'm happy for them that with the return of Frusciante that they were able to put something together that I think resonated with people, because I think that is the vibe. This is better than Unlimited Love. Yeah,
similar to you, Twan. I haven't listened to this record much. In fact, I haven't listened to anything except for those 2 singles, to be honest. But Eddie, as soon as I heard the song Eddie, and especially towards the end, like you were saying, Tone, with Frusciante in his element, it brought me to our episode on the pod with Chad Benekos of Head PE, where we're like, man, when John's playing live, he wails. They should really let him do that on the record. And he does it on that song. So it was like, wow, talk about somewhat nerdvoyance. But yeah, it's almost like Universal Love was like to satisfy a contract. Like, all right, let's get this one out. But on the next album, 3 months later, like, let's actually have some fun. Almost like, let's have a little proof of concept that we can actually put out a record, and then let's do something that we want to do on the back half, which is in the same year. So that's pretty impressive.
Well, we way back at the beginning of 21 had a Who Will Save Us from 2020 episode, and we said the Chili Peppers because there was talks of them putting out a record, but it got pushed obviously to the beginning of 22 for the first one, April, I think, right? And part of that is because the touring situation and them playing in big stadiums. Nate, you saw them at SoFi.
Yeah.
It needed to happen this year versus last year. I think because of that, we get 2 records. Like, they probably had Unlimited Love kind of ready to roll before the pandemic, or like going into the pandemic, and then this one they kind of put together, the last year or so, and I like this one better because of it, I think.
You're right. We did talk about that, and there was a lot of hype of, like, I think we expected a lot from them, and we knew that they were gonna, they were cooking during the pandemic. It makes me wonder, like, how they determined which songs would go on which album. Like, did they finish Unlimited Love and then they were like, all right, on to the next one? Or they had this pool of 50 songs and they were like, all right, this goes here, this fits more. Flea, guy.
Yeah, right.
Come on the pod, dude.
Yeah. I do what my manager tells me. Leaving that alone for a second. All right, Twan, give us your 4.
This one might be quick because I don't know if you guys listened to it. I know you guys know of the band, but Mind Force, New Lords, they're on Triple B Records. This record came out back in September, and we thought the Terror record was short. This is 10 songs, 17 minutes, and it's a band that I kind of look back because before the pod, I used to post on my personal Instagram records that I liked, and I would post like Jim Jams or Love the Heavy Breakdown, you know, all that shit. And I got into Mind Force back in 2018 when they put out their Excalibur album. And it's, if you think like thrashy New York crossover hardcore, like you listen to this album, you know these fucking dudes are from New York. Like I can just tell. But I think this is a level up. Like it's just more concise. There's no filler at all. It just from start to finish, it gets you. If you're into that leeway sound, early Anthrax riffage, breakdowns, New York vibe, like throw that in a fucking blender and you get Mind Force. And the singer, the joke with the singer, Jay, is no one knows if he's 20 or 50. And I know how old he is because I've seen it online, but it's just funny. Like he's just a character. He's just a New York dude. And I love this record. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but in the lyrics, but I love it. Go listen to Words Fail, and that's probably my favorite heavy song of the year.
Real quick, 3 things there.
3 things.
Words fail, and you don't know what he's talking about. And coming into this from my Kiedis not knowing what Kiedis is talking about. So I love all of this. The synergy of the Podioslave podcast. It's for real.
It's the best music. If you don't know what it means, it's the best.
Yeah. You don't need to know what it means. Just listen to it and let it fucking move you, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's funny. I hyped up how much like I connected with meanings and shit. I have no connection to lyrics and themes, but it's just like you can't help but nod your head with the groove to this whole album.
Sometimes it's all you need.
Yeah, it scratched that heavy itch, and honestly, there wasn't a ton of.
You should see a doctor about that, Twan.
Today we're scratching the itch for our top 5 albums. If you know, you know. If you don't know, stay confused.
All right, so nice one. I like that. 17 minutes, you said? That's digestible. So no matter what, we can all check that out with no excuses. This one, Tone, you mentioned earlier, this actually hit my top 5 as The Weeknd. I like this album a lot.
Nice.
A big reason is I always liked him, and but I never checked out his records, front to back at least, which is a shame. And I think there's many reasons why this album resonated with me, but one being that whole radio thing, because it brought me to another Queens of the Stone Age shout out. The whole theme, like the whole like concept record element to it. And I don't think it's done enough, but obviously you don't want to replicate what's been done. So I wouldn't even say this was a riff off of Queens of the Stone Age. It's really just a completely different angle to it. But I really liked how the delivery of it, the whole package and flow of the songs and segues, masterful. I thought it was really well done. And for a while, I actually forgot that this was a 2022 album. I actually thought it was 2021. So speaking of like, you know, early in the year being almost a whole different time frame, but revisited this again, somewhat in preparation for this, but realized that, hey, like this has been a good year for kind of expanding my wings into music that I like, but not really giving full time a day. And this one, I guess, again, because of the podcast, was another spearhead to give this more time. And it was the reason that it hit number 4 this year. So,
hey, don't be surprised if he was influenced by Queens of the Stone Age. He has come out and said he's a big Deftones guy. And I'm not saying Queens and Deftones are similar, but he is into more than just hip hop in that world.
Yeah.
This record I listened to, didn't spend enough time with it. I'm a big Weeknd guy. Starboy is one of the best of that genre, I think, of the last decade plus. After Hours was good. I didn't spend enough time with this one.
After Hours is long too, right? And that's part of maybe it's tough to get through. It's everybody. There's some bangers on that, but I had this as an honorable mention, Nate, as you said, and it's because I think the first 4 or 5 songs, they just hit you in the mouth and keep going. Like I wish it stayed that way the whole record. I wish it was 10 songs and it was like that. Maybe one slowed down. There's a couple too many slow for me to like have it be a top 5 record for me for the year, but he is super talented and there's nobody quite like him. And you're right, Twan, the Starboy is so fucking good. I love the Daft Punk kind of The production on Starboy, it's continued. The influence has continued through After Hours into Dawn FM. There's some feelings of that music, Daft Punk's later years music, that kind of resonate through the Dawn FM world, and all of the Weeknd stuff since. So probably why I like it, being a big Daft Punk head myself. But that's a good one, Nate. I'm with you.
Yeah, one last thing on this too. I actually tried to see this. This was on my quasi I got to try to see this live list, and he was playing, I think, SoFi. And the night that I was eyeing tickets on StubHub and Ticketmaster and watching the dynamic pricing fluctuate, can I go? Can I not go? I got to get a hotel. It's going to be a little complicated. And that was the night that he canceled the show. So I'm happy I didn't pull the trigger on that one. But I feel like this would be a good show to represent the album because of that theme. This would be a good thing to see in production, I feel like.
Would you have at 4, Tone?
At 4, we mentioned talking to bands, getting the story, putting out an episode about album closers, and having that record kind of creep into our everyday. And this is the Sunsleeper record for me. While you can. It's so good. It's going to be one. If we look back on this year 5 years from now, that's the record I'll come back to the most, I bet. Or maybe my number one. But the Sunsleeper record, which we talked to Jeff and Cody a couple weeks back, go back and listen to that interview. It gives us some background on them, on the music, all that stuff. We don't have to talk about it too long, but I fucking love this record.
So should I have it ahead. I'll just get into it now.
I have it at 2.
Really? I had it at 2. It's my second favorite album of the year. And this kind of gets back to, what I prefaced the whole episode with. It's more than just the music. There was the conversation with them, the name of the record, the 90s aesthetic with the visuals. And I think more than anything, I connected with the record. It's a record that makes you think. And I just thought about how Jeff's lyrics apply to my world and my situation. So I remember reading lyrics track by track, just dissecting it. And they did, I don't know if it was an interview, but it was with Under the Radar magazine. It's an online magazine. They did a track by track breakdown of the meaning of each song. And it's some deep, pandemic, the world stops, I'm going to start to think about things. And I think everyone did that. So that was another reason why I connected with this, which is I know how I interpret this, and to hear someone else maybe experience the same thing, that was a big part of it. And hey, chatting with those dudes was awesome. Great record. And this was the second one that came out on Rude that's on my list. So I had this at 2, While You Can. We've chatted about it, I think now 3 times, right? We did the Last Track Magic. We had them on now this episode. So if you're listening and have not listened to this record, go listen to it. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, and in 2023, we're just going to be a Sunsleeper podcast.
Could be. Could happen. Fan club.
And last thing, it's a great evolution from the EP to You Can Miss Something and then into this. It's perfect. It's a perfect evolution. It's where I would want the band to go.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a spoiler. This is actually my number one
album.
Wow.
And everything you said, Twan, basically highlights the way I feel about the record. And having them on the pod obviously only elevates that. But let's say they never came on the pod, I think it would still hit 1 because of the way that it hit me. It was lyrical content, instrumentals. If this could be an instrumental record alone, it would be similar to Roixop. It would be I felt something just based on the instrumental version or variation of this music. And same thing, digging into the booklet and whatnot. Not that I have the actual record, but digitally, just full disclosure there. But it reminded me of back in the day, checking out records and really digging deep and kind of complex subject matter. For whatever reason, it brought me to Incubus Make Yourself in 1999, really geeking out. What the hell is Brandon talking about? So a lot of that. And then also a refresh on there's still a lot of amazing music coming out today that you can't knock. And I really thought there wasn't really a whole lot of front to back records coming out anymore, but this proves that not to be the case, because it is definitely a start to finish album. Yeah, I just like everything about it. And it's another blessing with this podcast. I don't think I would have discovered this record or this band otherwise. If I had, it could be, years later. And I think years later, this band will blow up for sure.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many criteria that went into picking these. It's the music, it's the feeling, also replay value. This is an album that I think will kind of be in my, I don't know, there's like 30 records that like literally have not escaped my rotation in 20 years. I think this could crack that.
That's exactly, again, give me another month with this, and this is probably my 1 or 2. I have it at 4 now, and I added it 2 at one point, and then I listened to some of the other stuff, and it's a band, they're bands that I spent a little more time with, but this one is going to end up being, you go back to 5 years from now, we're doing this again, we revisit our list from 5 years ago, and we say, man, I've listened to that one, I've listened to Sunsleeper a ton since, like, that's my number 1 from that year.
Yeah, it's almost like they're on the festival bill in small writing, and then 5 years later, like they're the headliner. You're like, yeah, they should be the number 1.
They're the turnstile of 2025.
I'm in. That works for me.
That's a good assessment, yeah.
Fucking phenomenal record, and go back and listen to our conversation with those guys. All right, my 5, 4, and 3 are gone. Nate, your 5, 4, and 1 are gone, and Twan, your 5, 4, and 2 are gone. So Nate, give us number 3.
All right, number 3, again, kind of speaking to the little narration earlier on, how I've realized, especially with this exercise, how musical taste or just time spent on certain styles of music has altered, and especially for me in just this last, I call it 9 months. So this is an artist I always enjoyed. I think I got a little not burnt out, but maybe thought it was becoming a little stagnant. But I think between the new record and seeing the artist in concert, I think one of you guys alluded to that earlier. It was almost like,
it's Saliva, isn't it? Yeah,
not Saliva.
Record out. Yeah,
no,
okay.
It's the new Disturbed album.
Oh, Disturbed.
They retweaked the ooh ah ah ah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that, but anyway.
Good job, Nate.
That's my number 1.
It's Trapped featuring Josie Scott. No.
Wow, nice. It's Nickelback. You're right. Listening to Nickelback.
This might be the Off the Rails episode.
Nickelback with the panic riffs, like 18 Visions panic riffs. All right, continue.
Yeah, sorry, Nate. I had to, but go ahead.
Man, so I know my clues are vague, but yes, very far off. This is actually Jack Johnson. Not even close. Meet the Moonlight. Great record, great return to form for Jack Johnson. Again, environment and circumstances. So obviously, this is very conducive to children, having a baby and whatnot. It's calming, it's simplistic. But there is one thing about Jack that I think a lot of people don't realize is his writing and storytelling does have a trajectory. Like it gets deeper, it gets a little bit more honest. It's not so, it's not so ABCs, 1, 2, 3s as a lot of people might associate Jack Johnson with. And I always bring up the baby thing because, he did write the soundtrack to Curious George, and there's a lot of connotation there. But at the end of the day, like he's a great artist, and I love what he represents, being from the North Shore and whatnot. But I listened to this record a ton, and I saw him live, so it was also in preparation. But I listen to it now still, and similar to a lot of the albums we're talking about today, started to really dissect what he's talking about. And there is a lot of storytelling about the pandemic. So this was written during the pandemic, and someone that pretty much has the best life ever. He's a pro surfer. He's a professional touring artist. To hear that honesty in his poetry makes you realize that we're all in this together. Even someone that has literally like the most perfect simplistic life is dealing with the same struggles.
And I think this will be a theme of this whole episode is like you can't fabricate or fake the feeling that you get when you listen to music. And it could be the music itself. It could be the circumstances that you're listening to it in, or your personal circumstances. So I can totally appreciate that. And that's my way of saying, I haven't listened to this album, but I can understand, given the ingredients involved, why you'd like it. You live in California, have a child, all that stuff. It makes sense. Will I listen to this? I don't know. Maybe.
I had my Jack Johnson. I remember listening to Jack Johnson a ton 20 years ago as he kind of popped off. But I don't know that it's something that would have crossed my radar, and it hasn't till today. So it's something to check out for sure. But at the same time, that's the best part about this, is that I don't know that it would fit my year-end type thing if I were to have given it time,
I know it's an interesting hybrid of like how much time spent on it and the live show element that you guys brought up, which was he was coming. So I was really like another nostalgia thing, like really like going back to what I know and checking out the new record and really giving it an uber amount of time, in preparation for that show, that live show.
Well, one thing I do when I'm going to see a band, like a month before, I don't know, whenever I buy tickets, I will look on Spotify. You can just type in, I'm going to see Machine Head. And I typed in Machine Head set list on Spotify, and it shows you that it has that right in that order. So I listened to that leading up to the show. So I assume you did that with Jack, and that makes sense because I did that with my number one. No spoiler.
Oh, wow. Cool. So we have, that was Nate's 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you guys that Dangerous Summer was 2 or 3, because I told you from 2 to 7, they're all kind of the same. So I'll give you my other one that wasn't that, and it's the Out of Service record.
Oh, nice.
Yep. I listened to that. We got the advance from them when we had them on way back earlier this year, and I listened to it a ton then. And it's got brand new vibes. I'm a brand new fan from way back. Obviously, don't love that the situation that's gone on with them post the music, but I always loved the music, and I always had a feeling from that. And like you said, Tuan, you can never underestimate that feeling, and I got that from this record, this Out of Service record. So
can't fake that shit.
Yeah, I just kept putting it on. It always found its way into my headphones. As we said with our last track Magic episode, listening to some sad shit late at night, like this one always found its way, and I loved it. I loved the vibe of it. I loved the feel of it. I love the visuals they put out around it, which is Mike's. He does the painting and the visuals for the record. Go check online right now. There's a bunch of cool stuff there for the singles, and I love they had John Nolan. I love they had Nate Hussey. Like they did some really cool stuff for some guys that had been a band 20 years ago and took a little break and then dusted stuff off and brought it back and knocked this record out of the park. So the Out of Service record was pretty high up for me. I can't remember if I told you it was 2 or 3, but it's interchangeable with my Dangerous Summer pick. Love this record.
Question for you guys. Do you guys remember Last FM?
Yes.
Yep.
It was connected to your Apple, right?
You can still use it. Yeah.
You can still use it. So I remember I used to use that in college. So you would see what your friends listened to. I am so glad that doesn't exist with this podcast. I'm glad I don't know what you're listening to because honestly, coming into tonight, I had no idea what you guys would pick. I know what we talk about on the podcast. I know who we interview, but I have no idea what you guys are listening to day to day. So this is cool. And I guess to get back to this record, great record. I'm surprised it wasn't on my honorable mentions, and I'll actually put it there. Chatting with those guys was fun. The record's great. Features are great. And it's a band that before this year, I didn't know was even on this planet. I never heard of them. So it's another product of the podcast, and it's one I'll revisit.
Having those guys, Teebs reached out to us and said, hey, we like what you guys do. We saw you posted about Taking Back Sunday. We're a band from that area. Do you want to have, if you want to have us on? They're not from Long Island per se, but you know what I mean? That region of the world. We would love to give you guys, here's a couple songs. We can give you the full record. Do you want to talk to us? And we're like, fuck yeah, dude. We all listened to a couple songs and thought, this is right up our alley. We'll check these guys out. So you're right. The pod is the reason for this being so high. It would not have been on my radar otherwise.
Yeah, it's insane. It wouldn't have surfaced. It wouldn't have even come close. And in fact, I didn't know this band either, similar to you guys. But that interview element really elevates the music and that hustle. Man, they reached out to us. That's crazy. It also, for me, and I think maybe you guys can echo this, it's really inspirational to have these artists just getting started or really just so young and putting out music that's essentially timeless between Sunsleeper and Out of Service. Wow, kick ass. The music scene is actually thriving. So anyone that's shitting on what's coming out these days, you're just not either digging deep enough or that's really it. You're just not digging deep enough though. That's what we do. That's what we help with, or you guys do at least.
Well, the other part of this is I don't know that I had ever heard of Enjoy the Ride Records. At least I didn't know them by name. So we got introduced not only to them, but that whole catalog. And what Enjoy the Ride's doing is fucking awesome. We talk about nostalgia, that's what they do.
Right. Except for when they get into it with Fred Durst, but yeah.
No,
that's they still put it out.
They make beautiful records though. That was one of my having the record in my hand, listening to it, put it on the platter, taking a picture of it out in the sunlight and being like, this is gorgeous. this is out of service. One of the few bands, actual bands on their label. They do a bunch of soundtracks and a bunch of different cool stuff. Go check out that record label. It's cool.
Yeah, they are niche. They have an infrastructure to sport an indie band and also movie soundtracks.
Yeah, I think when we had them on, we joked around that they were label mates with Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy, yeah.
Or Beavis and Butthead, I think.
Both now, yeah. I think the Do America soundtrack got released earlier this year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, right?
So,
hey, it came out, sold out right away.
Gone in 60 seconds. All right. Swan, would you have it 3? Is that where we're at for you?
3. Yeah. I am going to go with Terror's Pain into Power. This dropped in May on Pure Noise. And I've been a fan of Terror. I was thinking back. It was 2003. It was a year, but probably 2 years after they came out. They dropped Lowest to the Low in 2002, I think it was. And this, to me, is a top 3 Terror record. I think they put out 8 or 9. And this, they brought back Todd Jones, original member. He produced this. And it has that grit. Like, Todd is the frontman and either guitarist or bassist of the band Nails, which is total gritty chaos. Like, there's an element of that that's present. Like, his presence is throughout this record. And I think we may have even touched upon that with Chris Link when we met with him at Tattoo the Earth. But to me, for a band 20 years old to put out, some people think this is their best record. But to me, to put out a top 3 record is pretty amazing. Scott Vogel, been in fucking Slugfest, Despair, every band, World Be Free, you name it. I think he's as good now as he's ever been, and he's in his late 40s. Like, it's crazy. So I think you factor all that in, talk to Chris, heard about the record. This one, another short one, right? This was, I don't even know what it was. It was 10 songs.
22 minutes or something.
22 minutes. Like, you're through it in a breeze. It hit me. And it recaptured that, like, that love for Terror. Because I think I was kind of away for them for a couple releases. Like, Total Retaliation and 25th Hour were good, but the no replay value for me. This one, I keep coming back to. And it's like the Mind Force album. You throw it on and you're done with it. Same thing, Dangerous Summer. You just play it all the way through.
18 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking about it around when it came out, and then obviously we talked to Chris Link at Tattoo the Earth and saw them at Tattoo the Earth, and that was one of the better, like, probably one of my favorite sets of the day. See, and part of it's because we know some of the people now. Like, seeing Brian Fair was amazing. Watching that set was awesome. Talking to Brian right before and then having him go out there and crush it was cool. Talking to Chris and then having them go out and crush it was fucking amazing. And that was, you remember that dude that broke his leg?
Oh yeah. We're talking, I mean, you know the technical terms, Tony. It was a full, I mean, it was
bad news. It was bad news. I was like, and it's what I do for work, so I was like, do I go over and help? No, I've been having fun today, and we're interviewing. I'm working. I'm having fun with the pod. I'm not doing the job thing right now, but I felt so bad. I was like, that guy, because the set was so nuts, and no one like did anything to hurt him. It just, he happened to be in a pit or got thrown up over something and landed and broke his leg, but it fit Pain into Power, did it not? I bet that guy's crushing it right now. It's been 4 months. I bet he's crushing it right now because he gets to go to Terror and has a great story, and hopefully everything's going okay for him. But fucking great record. Good call.
Great record. Terror, old trusty like a leather wallet. Yeah, it's always getting better. Worn in, coming back after, what was the last record before this one? Just like 2-3 years prior?
Yeah, and that's kind of been their cadence, 2 or 3. Pretty consistent. Yeah.
Do you think the interview elevated this record?
Honestly, I don't.
Not really.
Not tangibly. I mean, maybe subconsciously. Like, when anyone's willing to chat with us, like, you know, there's stock in my brain that, you know, goes up, but I think this stands on its own, separate from that.
Yeah, no, I agree. In fact, you brought it. It's similar. I think we saw Terror together, right? A few times back in the day.
Yeah. Station.
Saw them a lot when I lived in New York, but they fell off my radar for whatever reason. But that show and this record, I mean, that show, man, I was headbanging the whole time. I don't headbang, and I was headbanging that whole set. I remember you looked over at me, you're like, your neck's gonna kill tomorrow, man. But between the record and their live show, they're untouchable. Terror, I think they could be considered, the goats in their territory.
Well, it's funny you say that. Recently on the hardcore Reddit, which is a cesspool, but I do check it, someone prompted the question, who are the kings of hardcore? And a lot of people said Agnostic Front, like whatever. Terror was a big response in there. And I think your immediate reaction might be, really? And then when you think about it, you're like, yeah, I could see it.
And it's a great hardcore name. It's a great hardcore band name.
And that logo, timeless.
Well, what I'm pissed about is at my age with kids, like,
you're not rocking a Terror shirt.
I'm not wearing a Terror shirt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And it's funny when we had Chad Neptune on 2 years ago, he was wearing a Terror, and he's a dad, and he's a family guy. He was wearing his Terror long sleeve, but
we're probably far enough out now too. He was putting together an IKEA furniture set and missed the night that we were supposed to have with him.
That's right. Shout out Chad.
He was great though. We love Chad. Cool. All right, Nate, give us your 2.
I just one more thought on that, just because I was just at a Hatebreed show and I was thinking the same thing. I almost bought merch and I'm like, I'll never wear that shirt. Anyways, I digress. Once in a while.
All the fucking time. Yes,
all the fucking time. So yeah, we're ending at my number 2 since we already did my number 1. And Tuan, you mentioned this one. This actually is kind of a recent revelation because it dropped recently. Nas King Disease 3 is fucking solid. Great fucking. I've been actually this week in particular, I've been playing this album very consistently. It's a great hybrid of old Nas and Nas today, which is, I mean, he's a master in his game, but there's some old 90s kind of hip hop flavor in there too, which is great because I remember when Hip Hop Is Dead dropped in 2006, I remember thinking, nice, he's kind of getting back to those roots. So I think this is a little bit of that with a little bit of Nas is like, I'm 49 years old, I have some wisdom. I think he knows he's considered one of the best in the game at this point, especially with some dropping off like Jay-Z and other names that, aren't worth mentioning right now. But he just stands the test of time and time again. And this album,
you mean Kanye?
Yeah, or Ye, yeah. But interestingly enough, I've been, I really gave this album a lot of time of day, but I didn't listen to King's Disease 1 or 2. So that shows how much Nas kind of fell off my radar for whatever reason. I'm still my favorite rap artist of all time, but I don't know, just for whatever reason, it just didn't hit. But this one, right out of the gate, just nonstop tracks, hood to hood, recession proof, once a man, twice a child. Like, there's a lot of solid songs on here. And speaking to digging into lyrics and, geeking out on the booklet and stuff, this is one that you can do that with too. Just his poetry is just so deep. You almost have to, read it word for word to really get where he's coming from.
Great record. I mean, like we said, I had an honorable mention. I listened to a lot of the Joe Budden podcast. And they do they're into like a lot of the clips now, like the YouTube clips. You see a lot of those shorts. Anyway, one of the clips was just assessing if Nas was still relevant or not. And in that conversation, they said that I think it's the second or third verse in Michael and Quincy, which is like the third song on this album, they said was the verse of the year. And I agree. I didn't listen to a ton of hip hop. I listened to some, but I agree. Michael and Quincy is probably the best song on this album. And it's fucking Nas in his bag at 50. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Well, and you said it a couple of weeks back, I think, Tuan. Hip hop is not a young man's game. Like, anybody can do it. It's no one and you might even be better off at age 50 because of life experience and knowing how to, turn a verse like he does. So I haven't checked this out yet. I am excited to. It just hasn't, for some reason, it's been off my radar. And now that you guys both ride for it, and that's the best part about the pod, I got to check it out.
Another thing I'll say is, like, if you think about rappers of his ilk and his generation, Jay-Z's kind of off the map a little bit. Eminem has been in the limelight, but he takes things a little too personal. Nas is just in his own world. Like, I think he has blinders to everything. He's like, I'm just going to put out the best product. And if you like it, you like it. I'm not going to beef with anyone. Like, this is what it is.
Well, and you don't go after Nas because he fucks with your soul like Ether. Like, you're done, bro.
Oh, Ether. Timeless. Yeah, that is the ultimate mic drop song.
Hit him up might be, but yeah, this one's second.
Yeah. I'm this actually having it be at number 2. Like I'm really feeling the show regret when he rolled through here with Wu-Tang Clan and Busta Rhymes like 3 or 4 weeks ago, because he was obviously supporting this album.
Busta would have beat you up, bro. You had him on. What happened to Busta Rhymes? What happened to what happened to that band? It was Busta.
07 flashback.
Well, you ran into him, right? Wasn't
that too. Yeah.
Just shoulder to shoulder.
He bumped his head.
Flip mode's the greatest. All right. I'm gonna give my one, Twan, if you're ready, because it might be your one.
I'm not ready, so.
My one is The Wonder Years. The Hum Goes On Forever. I've reached for this record a ton. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't hit yours, Nate. I think if you really listen to the lyrics, I think you'd be into this, especially with the themes you've talked about tonight. I think you'd really be into this record. And we talked to Casey earlier this year, Casey Cavalier, the guitarist of The Wonder Years, and they're playing in Portland, Maine, in March of next year. Which I missed the show at the Palladium that Twan got to go to earlier this year. I am so happy that they're coming our way. I can't fucking wait for it. I've loved this band now for probably close to a decade, and they just keep getting better. Like there've been spots where I've kind of fallen out and not listened as much, but there've been spots where they bring me back. And this is a record that has really, really brought me back. And they're a band in that kind of pop punk, emo ilk that ties the whole record together about as good as anybody right now, where you can hear a song and then a little later that theme comes back, or even a song from a different record comes back into the feeling of this one. Cardinals 2 being the song I'm talking about from No Closer to Heaven is Cardinals, and this one has Cardinals 2. No one's doing it like they are for this. They kind of meld that pop punk emo sound so well, and I'm so stoked to see them in Portland in March, finally, because it's been years and I've never had a chance to, and now I finally get to go.
All right, the big reveal. It is my number 1 record of the year as well. Wonder Years, Hum Goes On Forever. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I don't know if you remember, like, we very briefly talked about this record at the beginning of another episode, and I said, I'm going to hold my thoughts. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't know what I thought. I didn't know at the point. I just, sometimes you need time to digest a record, and this is one of them. So the aesthetic, the visuals, the optics, the name of the record, the themes, Oldest Daughter, Old Friends Like Lost Teeth, slower stuff like Summer Clothes, like it's front to back. And if there was ever a band that I aged with in a literal sense, it is The Wonder Years. Like, get stoked on it. I'm 23, pop punk with breakdowns, a little synth in there. Like, I'm fucking in. And every release, the themes start to change a little bit. I'm 26, my cousins.
Jesus Christ, you're 26?
Jesus Christ, I'm 26. My cousins fall asleep with their wives, feel like I'm falling behind. Like, that was fucking me 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And a lot of like Tone, you were alluding to, a lot of the themes with this record is very much in my world, and it comes from experience, and it's not a record they could have written any time before now, and it's a record that I wouldn't have appreciated any time before now. So I think all that, having seen them in Worcester, which was an all-time show, like I lost my voice. Like I haven't lost my voice at a show in ages. I lost my voice. I knew every song, every word. My Spotify Wrapped, Wonder Years coming out swinging, most played song, most played band, Wonder Years. Like, this was the year of Wonder Years. And if you told me that in 2010 or whatever, when that Get Stoked On It came out, when I got that would be the case, I would say you're full of shit. Like, that band will not be around. But here they are. Special year for the Wonder Years, special year for this album. I'm as big a fan, like you said, I'm the biggest fan of them I've ever been.
I'm biggest pod regret from 2022. We had Casey on to talk about tour, right? And he flippantly made a comment about new music, and we didn't fucking jump on it. And I wish we had, because it ended up being yours and mine, Twan, record of the year. What the fuck?
That's insane. Yeah.
And it was what, 2 months later they dropped a single, or they teased the album?
Yeah, they were teasing it, with that kind of cryptic-y, here's a picture of something that
the
ties to us. Yeah.
Madison, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, because the album was done. The album was definitely done.
Oh, it totally was. And he could have given us a little bit. He kind of did, and we didn't jump on it. And hey, we're sorry out there. We could have broken a little news. I mean, it would have been cool for us anyway, but shit. I mean, he was an awesome interview too, so whatever. But yeah, that's my biggest pod regret of 2022.
Oh, pod regret.
It wasn't when we denied Scott Stapp that interview?
No, that's number 2. He's got a fucked up jaw, I heard. I don't know where I heard that, but I heard it.
Peanut mentioned that,
yeah. Yeah, allegedly. Marlins will soar.
Man, growing up with the records for 10 years, I mean, that's rare to have that kind of similar living through the motions of the writing and the record promotional cycle. Last band I can think of that we kind of had that perfect alignment was like Blink-182 in high school that I can think about out of the gate, you know.
I agree, and they were 10 years older talking about the internet, online songs. I'm like, dude, you're 28, like you don't know anything about online songs.
Yeah.
Well, and then Self-Titled came out and we loved it in the moment, but now it all makes a little more sense. Right?
Yeah.
Like
on
as
the
we've
flip
aged.
side of that, yeah.
True. Very true. Not so much edging, but
yeah, well, hey, Tom says the new record's the best music they've ever put out, so I can't wait to hear it sometime, hopefully next year.
He also said UFOs are real, so there's
he was right.
He
was right. Yeah, to the stars, baby. He was right. Hey, Nate, when you bump into him at Whole Foods, can we fucking give him a pod card or something? Like, give him a ticket stub. Let's go. Let's get him on the pod.
So I think that was my one. Tone, you had your one. And
I think we're done. Yeah, Nate had Sunsleeper.
Your one was Sunsleeper.
Yep.
Man, year in review. I'll say this: there weren't like a ton of records I like checked out. You know what I mean? Like I found the ones I liked, and the ones I didn't like, I didn't spend time with, and I ruled those out from the jump. But overall, pretty fucking good year.
Yeah,
I'm very pleased with the top 5. Like if I could only take 5 albums or 10 albums from this year, it would probably be the ones, that would have been discussed tonight.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that, and I can't wait to. I want to, and now this is year 3. When we hit year 5, we go back and listen or look at our top 5 from a couple years back and see where we are and if we're still listening to those records, because that's the test, right? Are we still listening to those records 3, 4, 5 years later? And I think there's ones on this list we definitely will be, and I think in years past, maybe not, but this list, yeah, I think we will be listening. Even though they're also kind of close and lumped together, I think we're going to be listening to these records for years.
So what you're trying to say is Nate will not be listening to Marilyn Manson.
No. Yeah, or MGK.
Or MGK.
Yeah.
Hey, it was slim pickings during the pandemic.
Slim pickings.
Well, that's the point, right? I mean, we were talking about all kinds of stuff. If you want to listen to a long, drawn out episode, go listen to that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did have fun with it. And actually, Twan, you mentioned Hot Mulligan that year, and they're on tour with the Wonder Years coming through Portland. So we'll be at that show.
Nice.
There'll be some content from us coming from that show, I'm sure.
So it's the end of the year. We paid respect to the albums we love. Let's pay some respect to all the guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a fucking banner year. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna dial my Tuck O'Leary and toot our own horn here. We did the Tattoo the Earth Festival. We had Anthrax. We had members of Hatebreed, Terror, Seven Dust, Sepultura. I mean, that's, if you told me we'd have those folks on in the lifetime of this podcast, I would say, wait, really? How do we do that?
The Gaslight Anthem, the Wonder Years, who was our record of the year, Twan. Like, we had all these people on. Like
Jesse, Killswitch. Was Peanut Peanut was last year, right?
Yeah, Peanut was 21. But yeah, we've had a really good 2022, and there's 20 plus guests, and then the Tattoo the Earth stuff, which is probably another like 12 guests. So go check those out. We appreciate anybody that's listened to us. We're really excited to continue to do this because we've been doing it now for almost 3 years, and we want to keep doing it, right? You guys are in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't believe it's been 3 years. It's crazy.
I'm in. And I think I've said this before. It's the unknown of like, are we going to get someone from an 80s hair metal band, or are we going to get like the singer of Mind Force? Like our spectrum is so wide.
Yeah.
It could be anyone. It could be an author. It could be a photographer. It could be anyone. And we we live what we do. I mean, look at the list we just rattled off. It's people we've spoken to as well. So thank you. If you're listening, thank you. Go check out every episode of the catalog, and we'll see you in 2023.
We'll be back next year, baby.
Ooh, new year, new us.
No, New Year, same us. We're going to just
Same us.
keep doing this, listening to music, talking about music, talking to fucking artists, because we love that shit.
True. Different, but same.
Peace, potheads.
Cheers.
See ya.
Hey, stop clicking that pen, Nate, bro.
Oh, I did do that.
Ah, shit. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.